Peace, fam. This is Brother Harold from HawkTheHarold.com. Back with another reaction video. Once again, remember to please like, subscribe, and also share. I just want to talk a little bit before I get into this video. We have to know that, especially dealing with politics, that whenever these politicians speak, that what we hear is only the tip of the iceberg. And one thing, if you know anything about iceberg, when you see the tip, the part that you don't see is a lot bigger than the part that you see, right? You're seeing a very small percentage of that iceberg, but what's beneath the surface is a lot larger. When these politicians speak, there's always a hidden agenda. There's always the part that they're not telling us. They tell us only what they think we want to hear or what their supporters want to hear. But their intentions and their motives are far more sinister. And that part they don't tell. That part they withhold. But without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get into this video.
Peace, family. My name is Vicky Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Family, you all know that I am big about doing geopolitical, in other words, international news. Yes, of course, I've never abandoned national news here in the United States, but it's important for us to connect the dots because they're inextricably connected in ways that the powers that shouldn't be don't want us to know. Yes? Well, family, I'm just a girl from Mississippi that now lives in the Wild Wild West, so I don't pretend to be any body with letters in front or behind my name. Talk black to me, somebody. But as the original woman, talk black to me, somebody. Where's my gavel? We were running the world before all the newer people came on our planet, and look at the condition of the world. That's all I need to say about that. Yes. So I have something to say about our planet and the way things are working. Now, some years ago, when I was on different platforms, different networks, I would talk about some of the testimony, the goings on of some of my supporters that lived in LA. Now, I didn't understand I didn't understand and didn't the details of a lot of this stuff. But I listened to some of my people, and I found it interesting to talk about some of the different aspects that were brought to my attention. And one of those aspects had everything to do with some of the gang banging in, for example, in the LA region, and how the government was directly involved in that.
And also, pardon the static. That's coming from the video. I thought it was me at first, but yeah, it's the video. So just be patient.
And trafficking and some other stuff related to the country of Mexico. Now, of course, let's be honest. Mainstream media, the government like to extrapolate certain parts of the Hispanic community, Mexico, and some of the negative aspects of it. Yes. And they know we have a problem with some of that. We have a problem with some of the illegal immigration, and they allow that to be front and center, but they don't tell us about the mess making, the other geopolitical moves that the government is making, because they want the problems that we have on a local level, on a state level, on a national level, to cloak what's actually really going on when it comes down to the big power moves. Well, baby, that dog don't hunt. I'm bringing some of this stuff up because I'm looking for some of you all to help me connect some of the dots. Now, I'm going to be honest, this first broadcast, I'm going to leave a little bit of a cliffhanger because I plan to do part 2. So don't be getting mad at me. And I'm trying to keep the broadcast as short as possible. Now, for those of you that may or may not know, when Trump got into office, he was already talking about labeling certain, this was kind of buried in some of the information, but I posted it on some of my social media platforms about how he intended to really sneak in there targeting Mexican drug cartels. Now, that on its face sounds like it's good, but there's some ulterior motive to that. I want you to watch this brief clip from current Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum there. Watch what she says.
Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum is warning the United States against any violations of Mexico's sovereignty after the Trump administration designated several drug cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. President Sheinbaum said Trump officials should refocus resources on investigating groups that are operating and laundering drug money inside the United States. Meanwhile, the Trump administration has not ruled out threats of military action against cartels. This is Mexican President Sheinbaum speaking to reporters Thursday.
El pueblo de México, bajo ninguna circunstancia.
The Mexican people will under no circumstances accept interventions, intrusions, or any other action from abroad that are detrimental to the integrity, independence, or sovereignty of the nation, such as coups, interference in elections, or violations of Mexican territory, whether by land, sea, or air.
The terrorist designation also includes the MS-13 gang, which is predominantly based in El Salvador, and Tren Aragua in Venezuela.
Okay. Now, of course, Trump has been threatening all of its allies. Yes. He's been threatening so-called enemies too. She makes a very interesting point there about how they will not allow mess making and infiltration of the United States government by land, sea, or air. Pay attention. In addition, she talks about the fact that the United States needs to focus on its cartels and crime inside of the borders of the United States. She's throwing some big hints there. Well, family, in case you think our people have nothing to do with the geopolitical moves of this government, you got another thing coming. I always bring up the point of the Iran-Contra situation that happened some years back. Most folks didn't understand the major political play between a country over there in the Middle East, so-called Middle East, called Iran, the Sandinistas as Hispanics, Oliver North, a military leader, talk black to me somebody, Congress, and a big geopolitical scam, and the destruction of foundational black Americans. That crack cocaine was created by the government, intentionally flooded in the black communities to destroy them so they can help to raise money for a war that Congress refused to fund at the time. So she raised money by entrapping and destroying black folk. Well, we're seeing some other weird connections here. I told you I'm intentionally leaving a cliffhanger because I plan on doing part 2 to this. Yes? Now I want you to watch this brief clip of one of my supporters. Again, y'all something else. They remember when I was going in. They remember when I was going in on some issues in the past, and I briefly discussed some other information given to me by some of my LA supporters. Yes? Well, about a month or so ago, an OG of the known as Big U of the Rollin Crips from back in the day, I'm told that he is alleged to have some connection to Nipsey Hussle. Some folks are saying there's some scandalous stuff going on with there. I'm not here to speak on or affirm or deny any of those connections because I don't have the knowledge of whether or not this man was involved in stuff, and I don't want to smear his name or any of that without having what I believe to be believable information. I'm saying I'm aware that there's that information out there. Yes, but I want us to focus on something that he says here in this brief clip with Willie D. Watch this.
And then you at one time in that period, there was crews of sheriffs who was robbing all the drug dealers. And we see that right now. What the evidence is right now is what we see on the internet, where these guys are able to go with impunity, commit crimes, put it on the internet, and they don't get charged, they don't get in trouble. And what we see is happening is actually the same way, because how do they control our neighborhoods now? They control our neighborhoods because they control these phones, and they control the information that's going into our neighborhood. So in my era of selling drugs, which goes back to the 80s, we really didn't deal with the Mexicans as much as they deal with the Mexicans now. When they started the NAFTA agreement, after 84, 88, drugs was mainly started coming in through Mexico. Before that, drugs came in from the port. So most of our drugs came in through Colombia, through the Panama Canal, and it would get through the water. So he was coming off here. So all the heroin came in through the water, all of that came in. And then at some point, when they started dealing with Mexico, all the drugs started coming in actually through Mexico, which started making different places like here, Texas, Arizona, and all of them were connections for major drug trade. But in the early 80s, it came in through the ports. So we didn't really deal with the Hispanics or Mexicans that's coming out like we did now. It was really basically the white boys, the people in authority in L.A. who really had the connections to the ports.
The gatekeepers.
The gatekeepers. And that changed And then when you seen that change happen, you seen the rise of the Mexican cartel, you seen the rise of the Mexican mafia, you seen the rise of all of that. And because, like I say, early era, all the G's, they really didn't have to go through Mexico or deal with that. It was basically coming through the ports.
Wow. Now, how many of you all, I got chills, would know that your so-called OG, your gangbangers and gangsters have a knowledge, a deep knowledge of NAFTA, telling you about port, what's the word I'm looking for? Port activity, yes. The U.S. government having previously done business before doing business with I'm talking drug business and other business with Mexico. Our brother here gives direct testimony about the fact that they knew about the Colombians and the Panama Canal. How many of us been hearing about Trump making threats to take over the Panama Canal? Y'all better pay attention. I told you I'm leaving a cliffhanger on purpose. There's a connection, I'm saying, whether a big U intentionally tried to draw these connections or not, between the geopolitical moves of us targeting now, claiming that we're concerned about Mexican drug cartels, when in fact there's a more pernicious goal that I'm saying is going on here. And I believe that our brother gives us a little hint, whether he intended to do it or not, in that conversation. Now, for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about with NAFTA, I'm sure many of you that are watching us from around the world have heard of it, but it stands for the North American Trade Free Agreement, which is a trade agreement between Canada, Mexico, and the United States that was in effect from 1994 until 2020. Of course, it was very controversial on many levels. Trump is attacking it now. But family, how many of you all know, I said I'm leaving a cliffhanger, but I'm telling you a little bit of the secrets, that Mexico has more mineral resources than you know. So they keep us focused on the illegal immigration issue. They allow some of the illegals to come here. It's the U.S. government that's not enforcing the borders. And as we can hear from our brother just there, he told us he said, number one, the sheriff's the ones that's stealing, that's robbing the drug dealers, which we knew about that, but y'all wasn't listening. And he sat there and made a connection between NAFTA, those that formerly control the trade routes, the ports, which was Colombia and Panama Canal. And he talks about the changes that took place with Mexico. I'm going to follow up on this, but tell me what you're thinking so far. And it's not by accident. And it's not, I believe it, and it's not by accident. And I don't believe Trump is being forthcoming in the true reason why he's targeting and labeling now Mexican cartels as terrorists, so that they can use military action as a means to infiltrate their country. I'm saying it's more to it than what they're telling us. I really done told you to look. I already gave y'all the hit for part 2. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about it. Family, I teach a spiritual school, Vicky Diller Mystery School. My students are getting all kinds of breakthroughs in every area of their life. Be sure to check it out and see if you're interested in it at my website, VickyPlanet.com, VICKIPlanet.com. Share the broadcast.
Yeah, definitely support the sister, support her, everything that she's doing. Family,
The rich
tell me your
are
thoughts.
growing their wealth very rapidly.
Sorry about that. Tell me your thoughts. Tell me what you think. Yeah. Remember to please like, subscribe, and also share. And I'll leave you as I came. Peace.